Oh, yeah.
Hey, little lady.
Keep going, Rick, with the song. How are
Hey,
you,
little
sir?
lady. Good morning, Brett Caldwell.
I'm good morning to you. Mojo Monday. Here we are. I love this time of the week. It's exciting. We revealed last week that there's the big reveal, like the book showed up, Rick. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been talking about it on here for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it's been in process for 10 or more. And the funny thing is, when you write a book, you've actually started writing it, 20 years ago if you're 20 or 50 years ago if you're 50. And so there's a story inside you. And this is my story.
There you go. Well, I think it would be remiss if we didn't say go to rickhale.com, use the discount code MOJO for 20% off if you'd like a copy. I'm excited you're sharing your story and this book with us, Rick. I'm a few chapters in at this point, and it's already changed my life. And I feel like I already knew you, but I'm learning more inside this book, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's been a gift to share.
Oh, 100%. Last week we kind of talked about what that regret-free life is and what stop settling is. And yet I really just kind of want to start off this week with, what's the target audience of Stop Selling?
Truthfully, it's anybody who's in a space and a place in life where they just need to hear the words, you have what it takes. And then, I don't want to water the weeds. I want to help those who want to be helped. And this is a book for people who want more from life, who want a holistic success story one day that might be worthy of writing their own book. Why live a life that couldn't lead to at least a short story, if not a book, filled with experiences and people that matter, and taking chances, and some that pay off and some that don't, but you took the chance, you swung at it and made a difference. And so that's my audience. I love the idea of helping teens. There was a time in my life, and we'll touch a little bit on, the past dictating your future, where I didn't love myself. I didn't feel self-confident. I didn't feel I had what it took, but a few key people embraced me and looked me in the eyes and said I did. And for some reason, I believed them. And man, that transcended my energy and approach to taking chances and evolving into a better version of myself. And I want to be that voice, and I want to create a vehicle. And I hope that I've created and crafted a prescriptive strategy to help everyone in the world achieve it.
Man, it's powerful. There's a book I read years ago called Daring Greatly that talks about the power of vulnerability. And it's really powerful. And I just want to commend you because, man, you kind of cut yourself open and spill it all out in this chapter. And you're being vulnerable around who you are, where you came from, some of the stuff that transpired in your life. And to others, you might wanted to hide that from others, but you put it all out there. And I got to tell you, because of your willingness to be vulnerable, it's going to change lives. So congratulations to you on that. This chapter is titled, Your Past Does Not Determine Your Future. And I think for you, being vulnerable and sharing your past helps us give context of why this past that you've lived didn't determine your future, right? So maybe, do you want to just give me a little highlight, or how does this relate?
Yeah, without giving away the first chapter of the book, which really is kind of my story growing up, I spent as I alluded earlier, there were times in my life where I felt unloved and uncared for, and not that people didn't love me. It's not, and again, it's not the external desire; it's the reality of how you accept and absorb it. And there was a time where I felt rejected and incapable. And after 10 years, I went to 10 schools in 12 years through high school. I repeated the 4th grade because we moved so many times. I ended up in a military school for a year in 6th grade. In 10th grade, I took a year off from school to go live with my mom, who had moved at the age of 10. She moved to Venezuela and, kind of left for her own reasons and season of her life. But I hadn't seen her in a long time. And so, long story short, there were things that happened that I felt were happening to me, which felt detrimental, that as I matured and with wisdom and experience, I realized they weren't happening to me. They were happening for me. They created the foundation of drive and motivation. And sometimes we learn about things through life that we don't want to replicate and be as much as what we do want to replicate and become. And so, again, life happens for you, not to you, if you absorb that in the right context. And so I'll leave it there. I don't want to give away too many of the.
No, it's good.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people that say, "Oh, I thought I knew you," and you do know me. You know me today the today me. And I want to resonate with people that are in the yesterday me so that they hopefully gain some inspiration, motivation. And again, there's some chapters that give you functional tools for crafting a better today and tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, one of the things you talk about in this chapter is just being in America, we sometimes feel like we're born on third base. And I want you to maybe put some context or some words around that, because it really speaks to your past doesn't determine your future, right?
It doesn't. And as I alluded, really if you said pick your target audience, it's anyone from 15 to 30 or 25 or on the front end of a journey. But this can resonate anywhere at any time. You could be, early retirement and not really sure what's next. That then this formula will help you and the strategies attached. But I could tell you there are people that need a high five and a hug and need some direction and focused energy. And that's what I want to deliver. Restate the question. I think I got sideways.
Yeah. So in America, sometimes
third base. Got it. Third base.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. Thank you for identifying the problem. So I think one of the problems our young people have today is they've lived a really blessed life in most cases. And that's a surface blessing. I think everyone lives the highlight reel on Facebook and Instagram and whatever other vehicles they're using that I'm probably not in tune with. TikTok, if you will. I think that's the worst thing ever created because it's everyone's highlight reel. Everyone's trying to get looks, likes, and they even monetize it today. We reward fake, false, external realities. And so I hope to show a different path, one of vulnerability and authenticity, that it's okay to be hurt, damaged, and have baggage that you're dragging around because it's for you, not against you. And that the silver lining is you're a better human being because of your capacity, not only to overcome, and that's one of the natural things we're wired to do, is become a better version of ourselves. And you can't become a better version without failing forward and without tripping over things. And then, so that's half of it. The other half of it is that by being vulnerable, you open the door for reciprocity and other people becoming more vulnerable. Unless you can relate to someone on a hurt level and on a damaged level, they're never going to buy it and they're never going to feel comfortable and safe. And so I think the world lacks authentic energy. This whole concept of quiet quitting really bothers me. And it's a concern for our young people in that they're trying to manipulate the system simply to get ahead or to check boxes, but their heart's not all in and hard work's not part of the credo, if you will. And so I think hopefully some of that vulnerability exposes opportunity to get real with life, because it's a shallow existence. If your entire existence is your Facebook post world, it's not real, it's empty. And at the end of the day, your inside voice and your outside voice are not aligned. And that's where integrity lives. And the inside voice knows when you're living into the best version of yourself, doing what really is required to elevate the human spirit that you possess.
Yeah. So I want to give a perspective real quick. So obviously when we talk about your past, there's people that have these upbringings and these childhoods and things like this that could be just described as their past, but it also means your circumstances today, and your past could be where you're at in life today, right? And how that doesn't determine where we can go. So there's this concept that 5 years is a really magical timeline that says you could be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. We overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 5, right?
Correct.
So how does that really play out in this book? Like, what is the 5-year timeline? What is your circumstance doesn't determine your reality in the future, all that?
Well, I mean, when I wrote this book, I got to the final chapter and I kind of had a panic attack because I'm like, I don't think I put everything I want into it. There's more. And, I had a friend help me, put my thoughts and energy into the structure of a book. And he said, man, 280 pages is enough for a first book. And in fact, it may be too much. And I'm like, there's just so much I want to give. But what I woke up realizing is that the 12th chapter and the 280th page isn't the last page. It's the first page of my next book or my next chapter or my next. And you made an astute point. You said, today is really your past is today. Like 20 seconds ago is already your past. Yeah. And whether you did something productive in the last 20 seconds, hopefully you're listening to us and it's something good and it leads to another good decision. And, a life well lived is nothing more than a sequence of decisions put together step by step that lead to the direction and the outcome that you're after, right? I mean, it's not complicated, but it's not easy. And so your past not determining your future is a decision point where you decide I'm going to be strategic. And the 1 year versus 5 years, we're all taught to do annual goals, and we're all kind of pre-programmed for New Year's resolutions. And the reality is most of us fail or come up short. We resign somewhere in October, November, and December, recognizing that, or owning that external, internal, there was some force that created an outcome that didn't satisfy us, and we have to start over. And I think part of the problem is you can only do so much in 12 months, and there's too many daily check boxes that distract from a bigger picture thinking mentality. And so by opening up the lens in the context again of the body of the book is a prescriptive strategy for how to walk through life strategic and thinking bigger. And you can't do it inside of a year easily. Most people, again, come up short. 5 years, it's like permission to go, just play the what if game. What if I had infinite resources? What if I had that skill? What if I had capacity? What if, and just dream big again. As adults, we sometimes stop dreaming. And, this is an invitation in my story to recognize the vulnerability of imperfection and the gift and the genius of imperfection, because that gives you a palette to paint on. If you were born perfect, what do you do with a stack of paint colors and brushes? There's nothing left. You're done. You might as well call it a day and check out. And so imperfection is genius, and it's beautiful. And it's what makes us human. And by being vulnerable, we encourage others to be vulnerable and connect in a level that helps us enrich and really lift each other. It's about lifting.
I love it. In your book, Rick, at the end of each chapter, you list some questions to consider.
Yeah.
Which I love that you do that. So I'm actually going to ask you one of these questions. And it's question number 5 at the end of chapter 1. It says, what are some silver linings you have discovered from the gloomy events of the past?
Well, one is I'm not defined by them. And then the second half of that statement is also that it's an enabling reality to know that I've overcome certain things. So I'm here to applaud anyone that's had challenges and hurt and damage, and, whether it's parental or family or fill in the blank, man, we're all kicked around, and that's just part of living a life. And so part of it is to recognize that the past doesn't define and determine your future. But the silver lining is it made you better, made you stronger, more equipped for the next version of that storm that may come your way, because life's somewhat cyclical. And then I'd say the other silver lining in all of this is that as time goes on, I realize the more chances I take, the more risk I take, the more people I engage with in a vulnerable way, the more I realize that a life well lived is one full of amazing people. And sometimes you have to filter through people to get to the amazing people. If we're the average of the 3 to 5 people we spend the most time with, there's nothing more important than building an environment or a tribe around you that's got fulfilling energy, that's not afraid to speak their truth, that's not afraid to come to you with real hurt and pain. That, we're not living in this social world where, your grandstand Facebook post is really who you are. And so if I've come to realize that the quality of my life is directly correlated to the quality of the people in it, and the only way to encourage and find those people is to take a risk and a chance.
There you go. Rick Hale, stop settling. I mean,
Don't
that's
settle.
the name of your book. Mojo Monday.
Mojo Monday. Hope everyone has an incredible week.